Good morning, my dear students. Our today's topic of discussion is on how to prepare insoluble salts. We are going to consider two examples on how to prepare insoluble salts and then making salts by preparation. Yes, the reaction between marble chip commonly that we say it marble chip is calcium carbonate, it is CaCO3, and sulfuric acid will be expected to produce a strong reaction with large amounts of carbon dioxide being given off. However, the reaction quickly stops after a very short time. Why? This is caused by the fact that calcium sulfate is insoluble. Calcium sulfate is insoluble. It soon forms a layer on the surface of the marble chips, stopping any further reaction. This reaction emphasizes that some salts are insoluble in water, for example, silver chloride and barium sulfate. See 5.11 on page 137. Such salts cannot be made by the crystallization method we have described earlier. They are generally made by ionic precipitation. Therefore, the methods of preparing a salt, it differs. Yes, some we can prepare them by using the method of crystallization or neutralization, but in the case of insoluble salts we cannot use the neutralization process in order to prepare a salt. We should have to have what? We should have to have another method, and that is what? The ionic precipitation method. Let's use, for example, you said what? Marble chips, that is CaCO3. Marble chips, CaCO3 in solid state is mixing itself with the sulfuric acid. It is expected that it was supposed to give a lot of carbon dioxide, but it suddenly stops. What is happening in here? What is happening is that the result is calcium sulfate. Calcium sulfate is an insoluble salt. Therefore, because it is insoluble, it cannot what? It cannot dissolve what? It cannot dissolve in water. Therefore, we say this calcium sulfate is insoluble salt. And there is another gas which is produced, CO2. Therefore, as you can see it, simply this CO3, it is going to stay as a solid, and it is not going what? It is not going what to dissolve in the water. That is, we call what? The precipitation. This will lead us then to the definition of the precipitation. What does precipitation mean? The sudden formation of a solid. Suddenly, there is a sudden what? Formation of solid in the chemical reaction. Yes? The sudden formation of a solid either when two solutions are mixed or when a gas is bubbled into a solution. So suddenly there is an appearance of what? An appearance of a solid in a chemical reaction. Yes. What other example can we consider as insoluble salts? For example, in here he said silver chloride and barium sulfate. Silver chloride and barium sulfate. So let's consider these things, the two things, silver chloride and barium sulfate. How are they prepared? For example, let's consider barium sulfate. Barium sulfate, it is prepared by mixing two salts. Both of them, they are what? They are aqueous, that is, they are soluble salts. But when they react, they give us what? Barium sulfate plus sodium chloride. Now look at the S in here. Look at the S. It is what it means. It is solid. This equation shows how important state symbols can be. It is the only way we can tell that this equation shows what? A precipitation. That is, something insoluble is created. How did we know? We knew it from the state symbol. The equation can be simplified. Shows only those ions that take part in the reaction and their products. That is, we can prepare also an ionic equation for this thing, for the chemical reaction. We know we can know them, which ions are taking part in this chemical reaction and which are what? Which are simply what? Observing. Okay. Therefore, we know that barium and sulfate are taking in this chemical reaction and they are giving out what? Barium sulfate. The others are spectators. Okay. This type of equation is known as ionic equation. The ions that remain in solution are left out of the equation. They are known as spectator ions, that is, they are not taking place in the chemical reaction. The diagram below shows the formation of a precipitate of a silver chloride when solution of silver nitrate sodium chloride is mixed. Maybe this is going to be more clear in your colored textbook. My textbook is not colored, I'm sorry. Watch this video and then refer page 142 in order to see the diagram clearly. Yes, so this is one example of on how to prepare an insoluble salt, which is called what? Barium sulfate, from two soluble salts. Okay, let's consider another example. Another example is, let's consider silver nitrate. It is mixed with sodium chloride. Silver nitrate mixed with what? With sodium chloride. It is giving us sodium chloride and what? Sodium nitrate. Look, there is this symbol S. Because of this symbol S, we know that there is a precipitation in here. This is what? This is not soluble, but the rest are what? The rest are soluble salts. Yes? Therefore, there is a precipitation. Precipitation, therefore, can give us what? Can give us a to create an insoluble salt. Precipitation reactions are often used in analysis to identify salts such as what? Chlorides, iodides, and sulfates. Figure 4.1 to A on page 96 shows the precipitation of yellow lead iodide by mixing lead nitrate and potassium iodide solutions. Therefore, in order to identify what type of a salt you are having, whether it is chloride or iodide or sulfates, then their precipitation can help us identify them. When they take part in a chemical reaction, we are going to get a precipitation. From the characteristics of that precipitation, then we can determine what type of a salt we are having. Yes, thank you for listening. This is enough for today.